What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on EI Entertainment Studios, back at it with another debate episode. Today's debate episode, we're going to be talking about Shin Biollante versus Cthulhu. Here's the plan, folks. We're going to go over the backstories of these two giant creatures. We're going to go over their characteristics, abilities. We're basically going to analyze them. Once we're done with that, we're going to put them up against each other in a death battle, but don't worry, we'll go way more into detail once we get there. For now, let's focus on the abilities and their characteristics and basically the backstory of these two kaijus. So here's the plan. We're going to go over Cthulhu first, because I thought that was very interesting. Cthulhu is a very interesting, very supernatural creature, and I want to get into it right away. So without further ado, let's begin with the backstory of Cthulhu. So Cthulhu was born on the planet Vhoorl, located in the 23rd nebula. He traveled to the star Zoth, where he spawned his offspring along with his children and the Star Spawn of Cthulhu. Cthulhu traveled to Saturn and then to Earth. They landed on a continent in the Pacific Ocean and built the city R'lyeh. Cthulhu received resistance from the Elder Things, who also lived on the planet. They waged war for the planet Earth until a truce was made. Cthulhu then went into a deep hibernation within R'lyeh. Humanity then evolved on Earth, and Cthulhu communicated with several through dreams. Very creepy in my opinion. Now, abilities, I'm going to do a quick skim. We're going to finish him off and then come back to the abilities before we move on to Shin Biollante, so don't worry about that. So a quick skim of Cthulhu's abilities. Immense size, vast strength, Nigh-omniscience, flight, magic, psychic abilities, telepathy, and madness inducement. Now, territorial level is maximum, aggression is maximum, biome is Earth and space, height is unlimited. I'll explain all of that now. Let's go back to the abilities and do a deep analysis. First, we have immense size. So, Cthulhu is ginormous. He is huge. But, even though he's huge, he can grow even larger and even smaller. That's why his height is unlimited. He can change size as much as he wants. He can become the smallest thing in the world or the largest thing in the world, depending on what he wants to do. So that's very powerful in any circumstance. Not whether only you're fighting something, but just to do anything you please. Now, continuing from that, he has vast strength. Very powerful. Basically, one hit from this creature, and if you're not that strong, you are doomed. Your flesh and bones will be destroyed. Now, he is actually Nigh-omniscience. What does that mean? He's very smart, very wise. He can learn everything within seconds and knows almost all things at one time. So, who is to say when he is about to fight Shin Biollante, he already knows who Shin Biollante is and what Shin Biollante possesses. And that's the ability of being Nigh-omniscience. Being super wise. Now, going from that, he can fly around actually. He can come out of the water of the ocean or wherever he wants and fly around. Now, is that specifically very powerful? Well, in the sense of escaping if you were in a bad situation, yes, it is powerful in a defensive way, but he can actually ram into his opponents, and with that giant size, he can ram into his opponents while flying. That's basically another way he can use that, so that's what I think of that. And next, he has magic. He can actually use magic. He can make things appear, disappear, and perform many tricks on his opponents to make them confused. And I think that's very powerful, a very confusion ability where they don't know what's going on, and boom, he strikes, right? Next, he has psychic abilities, which means he can basically move things without touching them. He can move things with his mind. He can move buildings, the water, whatever you want to call it, meteors around the sky, with his psychic abilities. Who is to say he can't move the opponent as well? Depending how strong it is. He also has telepathy. He can read the minds of his opponents. Knows everything. Knows all things. Very similar to Nigh-omniscience, right? Not exactly the same, but very similar to it. Being all wise. And finally, he has madness inducement. He can cause madness in the opponents to just go against themselves and go all crazy. And the biome is Earth and space, and I said the height is unlimited. Alright folks, that sums up Cthulhu. Now, let's go over Shin Biollante. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Two very powerful, ginormous creatures, right? So, Shin Biollante came into existence when the coagulant that was sprayed into Shin Godzilla's mouth right before he froze. One of the small humanoids was able to fall off the tail before all of them froze. From a long fall, the humanoid was bleeding and looked for a place to rest and happened to come across a field of roses and thought that they could be food. How interesting, huh? The humanoid started eating all of the roses, and his DNA mixed with all the roses that he had devoured, including the blood he spilled on the ones he didn't eat. The roses came alive and decapitated the humanoid and formed into Shin Biollante. Now that is interesting. Very gruesome as well. The height is 202 meters tall. Abilities: Quick Skim, Spiked Atomic Laser, 10,000 Tentacles, Tentacle Poison Laser, Regeneration, Instant Adaptation, and False Heart Trap. Territorial level is high, aggression level is low, biome is unlimited. Now, let's go back to the abilities and do a deep analysis. First with the Spiked Atomic Laser. Let me explain this. There we go, there's Biollante. Biollante itself is a rose. It has rose DNA mixed with Godzilla DNA, GDNA, as we know, we learned in the film. Now that's not important that much. We need to understand that she now has Shin DNA. Now, mixing that, it's going to be a more evolved of both. It's going to evolve and get better. Both the Shin DNA, both the Biollante DNA, correct? So, Biollante is a rose, for the most part, and she has thorns, or roses themselves. All roses are known to have thorns on their bodies. So this ability has evolved to be in a specific way where whenever Shin Biollante uses the ability, or the Spiked Atomic Laser, it's the laser from Shin DNA. Basically, it's a laser that's cutting through everything to the opponent. So not only is it a laser, but it has giant thorns from roses inside of the laser. So yes, you could call it a combo, if you will. I would call it a combo. So not only is it a laser, but it definitely is giant thorns in there, and they rip up the flesh of the opponent. Incredibly powerful. Now next, she has 10,000 tentacles. So yes, Shin Biollante, not only, like a regular Biollante only has 4 tentacles, as we just saw, but Shin Biollante has 10,000 tentacles. Now, she also has Tentacle Poison Laser. So, what this is every single 10,000 of these tentacles have a laser, and what it does is it numbs the opponent. Now you may ask yourself, what's the big deal about it? It's just numbing the opponent. Well, that's actually one of the most powerful abilities to have, because if the opponent is numb, they don't feel any pain, meaning they don't know when to defend themselves, and they don't know if they're dying or not. And Shin Biollante, in this case, can keep on using an ability and attacking the opponent, and the opponent is going to be just vulnerable and not knowing when to defend themselves or pull back, right? See that? Very, very smart and powerful ability. The power of adapting. Now, with that being said, she also has regeneration. She can regenerate her health based off of or via Shin DNA. Now, also, she has instant adaptation. We know that because of Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla himself has many forms, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, and Form 4, and the reason why he has many forms is because he evolves and adapts to fit the environment, the situation. And Shin Biollante can actually evolve and change forms and change abilities, or adapt the abilities to fit the opponent or the situation or the environment, or all in one, right? Now, continuing from that, we have the False Heart Trap. Probably the most amazing ability of Shin Biollante. So we all know that Biollante, just a regular Biollante, not Shin Biollante, but the regular Biollante has a heart in the middle, that red bulb, right? And that's how she actually died in the film. Well, you could not die, she went in the particle. Well, yeah, she definitely died. And that's how Godzilla used the atomic breath on that part. Now, this new creature, known as Shin Biollante, has that as well, but it's not a heart anymore. The heart is actually in the brain, and that's actually a mirror. It's a pure mirror. And any ability, I don't care what ability it is, any single ability that's been used on Shin Biollante on the false heart, it's attracting the opponent, just gets mirrored back to them. If it's a punch, the hand gets pulled back onto the opponent. If it's an atomic breath, the atomic breath gets mirrored back onto the opponent. Whatever it is, it gets mirrored back. Very, very powerful ability. And the reason why Shin Biollante's biome is unlimited because, as I said, she can adapt and evolve to any given situation. Alright folks, we are done with both of these kaijus. Now it's time to put them up against each other in a death battle. Let's do it. So we're gonna go close range and far range. The reason why I do this, far range tests the abilities of these opponents out at a limited capacity. So taking away some of their abilities, we're trying to see if they can still survive in a battle. Very powerful, very good way of testing them out. And the other one is just close range, all out, and just no limits, basically. So we're going to do far range first. The rules are they cannot come closer than 700 meters apart. So basically they have to be 700 meters apart from each other and cannot come close. Basically, as I said, they cannot have any physical contact. So let's see what abilities Cthulhu can or cannot use in terms of 700 meters apart. Immense size, well, that's just himself, doesn't matter, sure. Vast strength, well, defensively, yes. Offensively, no. Because remember, he can't use that strength to attack Shin Biollante because he cannot touch her. He is 700 meters apart. Nigh-omniscience, sure. Flight, sure. Only flying around the area, not coming close to her. Magic, no. Psychic abilities, no. Telepathy, no. Too far. Way too far for those to be any effective towards Shin Biollante, but madness inducement will work. So basically, he can't use the psychic abilities, he can't use the telepathy, he can't use the magic, and he can't use... well, yeah, that's basically it. And he can't use his fast strength for offensive, he can only use it for defensive. Shin Biollante, in this case. Spiked atomic laser, yes, lasers made to go far distances. 10,000 tentacles, not really. Well, she can use that for defense to cover herself up. For offensive, no. Tentacle poison laser, no. The tentacle poison laser isn't as strong as the spiked atomic laser, thus will not go as far as the spiked atomic laser, so that's a no as well. Regeneration, sure. Defensive ability, instant adaptation, of course. False heart trap, no, will not work because it's too far of a distance between the opponents. So, beginning this battle, I personally see definitely Cthulhu begin the first fight because he has a more aggressive tendency. And what he can do is use, the only thing he can do in far range, really, is use madness inducement. And it's gonna cause, so it's not really, he can't really use an ability that's gonna cause any damage specifically on a physical basis to Shin Biollante because he lacks the abilities for far range, or the ones needed for that, but he does have madness inducement. And that's gonna cause Shin Biollante to go crazy and start biting off her own tentacles, and her own tentacles trying to bite her, and it's gonna be a ruckus. However, this is where Shin Biollante's self-abilities and self-preservation abilities kick in. Now let's remember what abilities she has. She has adaptation and regeneration. What does adaptation mean? Her body can quickly understand that something's wrong, and she can evolve an evolution level that would take millions of years in mere seconds. Worst case scenario, in mere minutes, right? So at this point, Shin Biollante has madness inducement on her, and her body is malfunctioning, and she is biting herself, and her tentacles are biting her, and she's using abilities all over her, and her survival instinct is going to kick in, and her body is going to evolve. And who is to say if she has such an advanced cell? Because let's go back to the film of Shin Godzilla for a second. One of the biologists say that Shin Godzilla's cell organisms or cell structure is so advanced that no living creature on this planet has ever or probably ever will reach the most advanced level. It's so advanced that it can't be comprehended how good it is, how self-preserve it is. So who is to say when these, you could say this madness inducement is a attack on the immune system of the brain or the immune system of the body, and to completely destroy it. And this evolution system is so powerful, it's going to understand what it is, and it's going to evolve quickly. It's going to completely change the body to overthrow this inducement, and it's going to re-evolve and regenerate the body to become nothing. That's going to be any... So the madness inducement is not going to have any damage, or it's not going to cause any damage to Shin Biollante, leaving him ready to use the spiked atomic laser to eventually destroy Cthulhu. And therefore I believe Shin Biollante will win in terms of far range. Now let's move on to close range, the good one, right? Now, face to face, Shin Biollante is 252 meters tall, but Cthulhu doesn't have a set size, but instead can become any size. It can become 500 meters, can become 1,000 meters tall, become 2 meters tall, whatever he wants. So in this case, if Shin Biollante is indeed 252 meters tall, which she is, I'm assuming, we're going to assume that Cthulhu is going to go to 500 meters tall, to become even larger and even bigger, right? And he is going to use psychic abilities on him, right? Psychic abilities is going to cause... Or we're gonna assume this battle is in the water, okay? We're gonna assume this battle is in the water. Psychic ability is gonna cause all rocks and volcanoes in the water to erupt and just bash on Shin Biollante. And when he uses that telepathy, he's going to read the mind of Shin Biollante. So every time Shin Biollante is gonna try to use an ability, it's gonna be cancelled out, because Cthulhu will know it hours, seconds, minutes before he even uses it, right? And then, with that being said, the combination of psychic abilities and telepathy with a madness inducement is not going to give Shin Biollante the enough time to change, because the evolution time is quick, but just because it's focusing on madness inducement, Cthulhu already knows that the body's trying to evolve because he can see the mind. So he's going to use his vast strength, his magic, and everything to completely wear down Shin Biollante, and I believe he will win this far-range battle. Or excuse me, I mean close-range battle, right? So it's gonna make it a tie at 1-1. Absolutely, there's no chance for Shin Biollante to even compete with Cthulhu in close range. Impossible. I don't see any rational explanation to it. Meaning we're gonna have to go to overtime. And overtime is just rating off of pure ability. So we'll go off of Cthulhu first, and then Shin Biollante. Cthulhu will go as follows: immense size, vast strength, Nigh-omniscience, flight, magic, psychic abilities, telepathy, and madness inducement. Shin Biollante has spiked atomic laser, 10,000 tentacles, tentacle poison laser, regeneration, instant adaptation, and false heart trap. It's going to be a difficult one because the evolution is so powerful in Shin Biollante, but Cthulhu has supernatural abilities, and supernatural always goes above the natural realm, and therefore I'm going to have to give it to Cthulhu 2-1 due to overtime. It's just my opinion. You could debate me in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great and a wonderful day.